Alright, in this lesson we're going to go into the legs a little bit more, which we started in the last lesson about doing the hips. And we're going to delete the history. As you can see, the history that was in that channel box is now gone. Too much history can lead to bugs, so I like to just get rid of it every once in a while. As an example of how switching between the smooth view and the one unsmooth view can be really helpful in showing you exactly what the verts are doing. Smooth view, everything looks smooth and pretty, and then as soon as you hit number one, everything goes crazy, and you got a mess on your hands. Okay, we're bending the shin back. Now the shin bone, if you actually look at it, it's pretty straight. It's not like a very curved thing, but adding a little curve to it makes it look a little bit more dynamic. If you look at artists, they'll often add a little bit more curve. The concept that I kind of like to follow in 3D is always just add a little bit more of what you want. Like if you're doing something dirty, just make it a little bit more dirty. If you want something curved, make it a little more curved. Because in 3D, everything gets dulled down. So you'll see some movies where they try to make something ultra realistic, and it doesn't look as real as in Pixar when they kind of over exaggerate everything. So I always try to kind of over exaggerate everything when it comes to 3D. Okay, again, trying to smooth everything out. I don't really like to just go to one area and just focus on it endlessly. I'm kind of always looking over the whole model and trying to make sure everything looks okay. Okay, legs nice and smooth, not super detailed. If we want to add like a lot of detail, there's other software for that does that faster and better. But this is mostly about building a model, keeping the edge loops, all right, and you'll still end up with a really detailed model that works in most scenarios. Okay, a little bump in the front for that muscle that goes in front of the shin. Sometimes it looks like a little bulge in the front. And here I'm pulling that knee out to make it kind of line up with the drawing, but I don't know. It actually doesn't end up looking that good. Alright, just thickening everything out, because when you smooth it out, everything kind of shrinks a little bit. Okay, constantly look in perspective view, look at it from every angle. See that knee looks a little bit pointy, so we're going to actually back that off a little bit later. Make it a little bit more smooth. Just use your artistic eye to scan it from every angle and make sure it looks good. We can go to the shin and move it in front view to make it follow that curve again. See how it just kind of looks a little bit more graceful with a curve in it. Even though you might look at someone's real leg and it might look pretty straight, sometimes it's just better to go a little bit overboard. I'm pulling this geo out to match the drawing, but as you'll see in a second, it's not really the best way to go. See? So just working in front view for too long can be a problem. You get this weird shelf looking thing. One of my favorite things to draw when I draw in pencil is just bodies, human bodies, female bodies, and one of the things I found from looking at some of my kind of drawing heroes like Yeagle, I don't know if that's the way you say his last name, but he he just oversimplifies everything in the female body, and it looks so good. And I've just kind of have this habit now of, when in doubt, just simplify. Um, you can always get away with when you're building a female body, make it a little bit smoother, a little bit more basic. You want to add detail and you want to make all the cool muscle overlapping and everything, but uh, when in doubt, just go basic. And basic curves are gonna sell the shape. Still adjusting here. Trying to keep everything in quads. Pull the knee back a little bit. See, if you look at the edges right now, how if there's a kink like the one right there, you just kind of try to, make it follow the natural curve of the leg. If all your edges are going to be following the curves of the leg, then you're going to end up with something that's, if all the curves are right, then the model will most likely be good too. That makes some kind of sense, right? Okay, leg's looking pretty good. Ish. That's right. I'm looking at that point and I'm just kind of seeing that it's not really selling the knee at all. For now, we'll just leave it like that. Okay. Looking at it from every angle. Don't forget top down. Just keep inspecting it. See how my that little thing in the center turned sideways? I don't know what it's called, but if you control click on one of the arrows, it'll line it up to just that plane. It'll lock it to just that plane. So instead of moving, normally that little square in the middle is supposed to be camera view. It's always facing the camera, which is really convenient. It's one of the first things that when I switched from Max to Maya really captivated me about Maya, is that it had that thing. As far as I remember, Max didn't have that at the time. And you can control click the top view and it'll just lock everything to a Z and X movement. Sorry, not the top view, the top arrow. Control click the X arrow and it'll lock it to a ZY movement, etc. I'm looking at this curve and it's looking okay. It's going to need a little bit of work. You just get to watch me spin around this model for a while. You see how that pole, by the way, the five-sided polygon, how it kind of comes together in this weird little point on the side of the body? That's what you don't want to happen. It's not the end of the world, but okay. So we're adding another edge loop into the armpit here. I mean, we're gonna need to. Right now I'm probably, I don't know, eating something. Later on in the videos, I end up cutting a lot of this stuff out, but I'm not going to cut out anything where I'm actually putting in cuts, because I'm going to make sure everything, all of that gets seen. We're just kind of playing with different curves and different curvatures of the leg and seeing how it looks to me. Of course, it helps to have some knowledge of anatomy. Being a girl might help, I guess, because you have some reference in the mirror. Maybe having a girlfriend might help. See, I'm noticing that that curve isn't quite looking good. That makes it a little bit more bubbly. We're going to be working on these hips for, you know, throughout the lesson. We're going to be kind of touching back on them and making sure that that as the model evolves, everything is still straight and looks good, not kinked or anything. All right. The next lesson we're going to start on the breasts before we even do the face. How about that?